Hello and welcome to Bodied, a Cloud9 fancast. I am your host Havocpuss, and I am joined by Frozen Creek, my co-host. How's it going?
Hello. I am back, hopefully with a good mic this week. So, if that's the case, then I'm doing well.
Yes.
We have the Lock In tournament tomorrow, and anything before that we talked about before that might just be a shit show because VALORANT is having some fun this week.
Oh yeah. Before we get to that, I do want to just have a nice good vibe moment and announce that the Rainbow Six Squad is once again the APAC North champions after taking down Giants Gaming. Our Rainbow Six team has won a few championships, actually. Frozen.
Yeah. They've been on fire since of the start of the pandemic. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but it seems like this division that they're in, they're kind of a big fish in a small pond, because I think they beat Giants last time.
Oh yeah. So like if you go to their Wikipedia page, you just see like all of these top three finishings from like 2020. It's like all like the whole of 2020 is like second, first, third, first, second, first. So, they I think them and Giants are probably the two big dogs in Korea. And we have a really good team. Like everybody seems to just work well together. Everyone is able to hit those shots and put up big numbers, and I think that's just I think it's great that we have like such a consistent roster and a team that is able to win so many championships. Like this literally all this needs to say to C9 to keep them around is like, look, we're putting up at least, first, second, maybe the occasional third, but we're putting up top 2, top 3 results like every event that we go to. You would be insane to drop us, So I am loving that we have just a team that is stellar and is just able to be consistent, because that's the thing that I think that Cloud9 teams never really do is we reach a high point and then we hit that high point and then we're never the same again. And we can never get like to that same point of like consistent play.
Yeah, it helps that we haven't changed our roster in a while. So
Oh yeah, like this is the same roster
helpful
that we've had for like the past year or so. So whatever they're doing over there, it's working very well. So those guys just keep up the good work. If you can watch them, I know it's difficult especially for NA listeners, because when they're playing, it's just like 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. So it's just impossible sometimes to catch them playing a match. But they're fun to watch. The games that I've seen them play, great to watch. Always firing on all cylinders. They do some really good stuff. It doesn't seem like they do anything too weird. I think they're just, I don't know the exact fundamentals of Rainbow Six, but they follow those and then they build upon those with their individual skill, and they're just a good team. So I really highly suggest that you try to watch Rainbow Six when you can and support that team, because they are sort of one of the unsung heroes of C9. It's kind of similar to the Vainglory roster, actually. Not a lot of people watch them, but they're just consistently good.
Yeah, they were studs right up until at the very end, about the time they got dismantled. If I remember,
I miss Vainglory so much. That is the team that to this day I will always say is one of my favorites, because they back-to-back North American champions. They finished 3rd place at the Worlds tournament that year, and they were looking like, I think if they had won their semifinals match, they probably would have won the Worlds tournament. So they were an incredible team to watch. They were extremely strong. And then Vainglory changed how the game worked, where it moved to 5 people from 3.
Oh yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So the game completely changed, and I think that C9 probably just wasn't seeing a lot of return on Vainglory in general, and they decided to just end while they were on top, which I think in some aspects was good. You know, you have a team that will always be remembered as a dominant, you know, powerhouse from North America. But I think at the same time, it's like you could have maybe done a lot greater as well if maybe if the scene had been better and maybe it was more supported, so where there was a lot greater return on investment for a Vainglory team, especially when switching over to a 5-man roster.
Yeah. Sorry, can you say that one more time?
Oh, I was gonna say they could have maybe done even better as a team.
Oh yeah.
Had the scene gotten like more investments into to make it worthwhile to really invest into the Vainglory scene. I think really it was just that, you know, it was kind of at the dwindling era of when MOBAs were a thing, and Vainglory it had a good niche, right? Because it was a mobile game, so you could penetrate that market, which is something I think that a lot of orgs should try to do, because that is a market that is really good to have at least one team in. But I think that things just weren't in Vainglory's favor, and I think that the scene kind of fizzled out. You know, I haven't heard much of Pro Vainglory ever since we dropped out of the game, but I can't imagine it's doing all that great if I'm just not hearing anything about it, like, period.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've never really looked on Twitch, but I wonder if it's still on Twitch.
I mean, I imagine it is. Like, lots of games are on Twitch. I think it's just that...
Or, well, like, if it's, like, mildly viewed.
Oh, yeah, I don't scroll down, like, the browse section where they give you, like, categories for you, but I don't think that I usually see it popping up. So I think it's safe to say that it was just a scene that was, for the short time that we were in it, it was good, but I think in the long run it probably wouldn't have been a worthwhile investment. Which is kind of sad, because I really did like how Vainglory did work as a game and everything.
Yeah. Speaking of MOBAs like that, I wish that we'd get a Smite team again.
Oh yeah, Smite would be good. I wish I wish Blizzard actually cared about their games enough to make Heroes of the Storm a good online team. Because we had a world championship team in Heroes of the Storm, and then after we won that, we they disbanded.
Yeah. I feel like that is still kind of thing going on, right? And they kind of just stopped updating it.
I remember like a couple of years ago they tried to revive Heroes of the Storm and try to make it like a big thing again, but I think that people just did not have the interest in it. And I think that it's a nice game, I think, casually. From what I've played, it's a fun game to play with friends, you know? I'm not sure if it's exactly the kind of game that you would want to play professionally, because it's a weird MOBA because it's more focused around obtaining objectives rather than just like League of Legends is essentially, you get kills and then you convert those kills that you get gold into getting objectives like towers and then ultimately the Nexus. With Heroes of the Storm, it's really weird in that kills don't really matter. All that really matters is that you're competing for whatever weird objective is on the map. And the maps change depending on, like the objectives are different based on the map, and you get maps kind of randomly. So you could have a map that's like, okay, this map I can easily play because the objective is very clear cut. Others are a lot tougher to just play. So it's kind of frustrating. It's really weird. I think that's partially why it didn't take on, because there was too much of a weird kind of random factor in which map you would get, and then how you make your team kind of off. That?
Yeah, and for some reason, Blizzard's just not really been good at esports since StarCraft
No,
days.
they hate supporting their games for some reason. I don't know what the deal is. You'd think that they would put more time into it. Like, I mean, Riot, like, say what you will about giant mega corporations, but I think at least one thing that Riot does do well is they actually do try to support the competitive and professional scenes of their games and try to give those spaces as much attention and gratitude as the casual player base, and I think that Blizzard just doesn't do that at all. I think that they just kind of they just try to change the game for one fan base or another, or they just kind of do these minor updates to keep things quote unquote fresh until something new comes out, or you know. So I think that I think they just don't have the proper priorities and sort of the vision and insight to really manage an esports scene like I think like Riot does.
Yeah, and we're extremely off topic, but
No, but this is good. This is a good discussion. I like it.
And I feel like that's most evident in the fact that they stuck with goats for so long in Overwatch League, and instead of fixing goats, there's like, we're going to make a hero pool, take out champions every week or so, and you can only pick 2 tanks, 2 supports, and 2 DPS, and that's it.
Yeah,
As
it
opposed
really
to like fixing the game.
It really went against the design philosophy that Overwatch started with, where you can you're supposed to have these really fluid sort of team comps where you can literally do almost anything, and that was, I think, the really big appeal to Overwatch. But then I think with goats happening, instead of changing stats around and swinging things to where it makes it unideal to have multiple supports or multiple tanks throughout a team comp, they just pigeonhole people into, you have to use these roles in this configuration. So it just makes it, it loses, I think, some of its appeal to then it's just any other kind of hero shooter, or any other sort of kind of, competitive game where you're kind of stuck in these, everyone has their certain role instead of being more fluid. So, it loses its appeal there, and I think it just shows that they just don't know how to balance their game properly if they're constantly swinging from one meta to the other and not being able to find like any sort of middle ground for any of the roles.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of that is what kind of triggered the downfall of Overwatch League, which surprisingly is not dead, but a lot of pros have left for Valorant and such, and obviously the quality of or I guess I haven't watched it, so I don't know, but the quality of the casters is evidently much different than what it was during season 1, when they shelled out a lot of money for like Monty and a few of the other
for sure.
big guys. Like, since that money is dried up, like, I feel that I don't know if the casters now are better or worse, but the fact that they had to move on from their big names is evident of the fact that.
Oh yeah, for sure. We've seen a lot of the Blizzard casters move into more freelance casting because I think they just weren't getting the proper compensation and the proper like support from Blizzard. And I think that, and I mentioned this last episode, but with our new Spitfire roster, I am really excited and curious to see about how the Overwatch League is kind of going to function this year, and see how things are, and if I can get swayed back into being an Overwatch League fan like I was in the first season when everything was really new and exciting and all the matches were really good,
Yeah, and I miss those times, so hopefully they can figure it out this time around, like getting Overwatch League back on Twitch, even if YouTube is a superior platform.
Yeah.
But it's easier just to watch it on Twitch, I think. So
Twitch is, I think it's just better, I think, also in terms of the like usability and the interface and how it looks and everything. It's just, you have like a big screen, you have chat that is usually fairly active, and I think Twitch is just better for any sort of like live event streaming. YouTube streaming just feels kind of weird.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why it feels like it would make more sense, but It just does because I do prefer to watch it on YouTube, but for some reason I just don't see when things are live on YouTube as
Yeah,
opposed
yeah,
to
that's another thing. Like
Twitch.
Twitch, they usually are able to help. It's a lot easier to tell when something's live versus YouTube. You kind of have to hunt for it sometimes, and sometimes it gets like buried in your feed. Um, but we have gone way off topic. So let's course correct here to our next topic, which is the Valorant drama that is surrounding C9 Blue right now. So, Tenz, arguably one of the best players in North America, if not the world, he has announced that he is stepping down from the C9 Blue roster to focus on streaming and content creation. This happened yesterday, I believe, and they are today is Thursday the 14th. They are scheduled to play at the Nerd Street Gamers Winter event today against E United at like 3 o'clock, I think. And that has a lot of implications and repercussions for your best, most talented player to just leave the team suddenly.
Yeah, and with the tournament today, which has probably already started by the time this is published, by not much, but we don't know as of now who's going to be filling in for him, which I have to imagine they knew Tenz was leaving before yesterday, or Tuesday, or Monday, or
Yeah.
whichever day it was, so they have a replacement in mind, but we don't know who that's going to be, and I think it's a huge hit on Cloud9 Valorant because he was probably the most known player in this new space, but it's kind of weird that him and who was the
Shinobi.
TFT?
Shinobi was the one that also left. I think that
Yeah,
Shinobi at least made sense because he was really underperforming just as a player on an individual basis. Like, he was the shot caller in the IGL, so you can give him some leeway in his performing very poorly, but his performance to the standards of all the other IGLs that play in NA Valorant, he was very low. So I think that he was going to get the axe regardless. Tenz leaving is, I think, really surprising. You mentioned rumors about people who would fill in. There was one that says that Zeta, who is a part of the Cloud9 Korean roster, he is going to be filling in. There was also, I've heard, also Poise could maybe be filling in. We have no idea who. Right now, this Valorant roster is actually officially only operating at 3 people. Because Leaf, who was a stand-in for the last event or so, he has never been officially announced, so we can't really treat him like he is a permanent player. And now Tenz is gone, and this really just has me getting those sort of like Vietnam War flashbacks for the CS:GO roster, because this exact thing kind of happened for CS:GO, where we just kept losing people and we kept having to put in stand-ins to try and make a roster work and to try to make them competitive when it just couldn't, because you could never find anyone either willing to be a permanent fixture or anyone that could slot in well enough to make the team any kind of competitive threat.
yeah, and I'm not sure. I hope that it doesn't mean that they're going to put the team on hold or anything for the time being, but I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, this makes the team very kind of uncertain. I don't think that we'll completely get out of Valorant, because I mean we have 2 teams currently, and I think there's even a women's tournament coming up eventually. I'm not sure exactly when, but there's a women's tournament that got announced that I think C9 White will probably participate in, and I think Riot's really trying to push. They made some special rule, I think, to where every org can have a pro team and then a women's team, and I think that Riot's really trying to push having more women kind of compete in esports, which I think is really cool. So I don't think that we're going to pull out, but I think this makes this really damages kind of our reputation in Valorant when you're losing your best player. I think this also kind of hurts Tenz's reputation when you think about it, because a similar thing happened in CS:GO when he was on the team. He had a lot of creative differences, kind of with Daps when Daps was playing for C9, and Tenz just couldn't really work with the team, and so he kind of stepped away, kind of waiting for Valorant to come up, and this kind of thing happens again. So it could be, we have no like real like information, so we can't say for certain, but it could be maybe he's just having issues with the team. Maybe he didn't like that Shinobi got kicked. Maybe he just doesn't like to compete, and the competitive kind of lifestyle just doesn't suit him, and that's totally fine. I mean, if he can be just as successful, if not more so, as a streamer, I think that's great. And we should still definitely support him. But it's just kind of weird to see him kind of move on, especially if he wants to even come back. I think he'll be really behind, since he won't be in that competitive environment for who knows how long, and so he'll have to be playing catch up with a lot of people.
Yeah, and I wonder if this is going to mean that we're going to invest in a new roster, because I think it was pretty clear that Tenz, it was like a tier above at everyone else. So like,
Legitimately so.
A good time to go out and try and find some, or try and build a new team of players already on other teams or free agents and such. So
yeah,
I don't know. It just seems so abrupt, I guess.
Yeah, I think I could see us actually rebuilding, just in that if you look at what we have, Relics, I think Relics was the second strongest player on the team, but then Mitch and Vice, they don't really have a wow factor, and they weren't really a team that, they weren't really players that like, oh wow, these guys are, you need Mitch and Vice. Like, I think Mitch and Vice feel very like replaceable, which is awful to say, because I like Mitch and Vice, and I think especially when they were first playing together on the team, they were looking really good, and they were looking like they had a lot of really good strengths. But I think maybe if we give it another year, it could definitely be a point to where we just pivot away from taking in old CS:GO pros that are tired of playing in CS:GO to actually getting stars from the Valorant ladder who have started playing Valorant and have learned Valorant to the high degree that like CS:GO pros do. So I think that we could definitely maybe look to pivot on that eventually, because I think that's eventually going to happen regardless. But we're just going to have to see how this all turns out, because this is a really weird situation. I'm really curious to see what C9 does to try to like salvage this and try to make the team better, if they even can.
Yeah, and I can't imagine it would be a full exit from Valorant, because it still seems like there's a lot of, or it seems like there's a lot of competitive life into this game still. So I don't really see them just dropping out entirely. But
no, yeah,
it is a big hiccup in what has been a year of some decent sized hiccups for our competitive team.
Oh yeah, for sure. We'll have to see. We'll probably talk about it more next week, and how the team did. Who we kind of stood in, maybe what is next for the team. We'll probably hit that up next week. But moving on, before we talk about the LCS preseason lock-in event, the C9 Amateur team actually played. They played in the Challengers Uprising tournament, and they got second place. What were your impressions of the team, if you got a chance to watch them?
I didn't get a chance to watch it. I'm not exactly sure why. I kind of watched part of the last game against, who was it, not an academy team?
It was not an academy, which I feel like they shouldn't have been in the tournament to begin with, since it was literally like, I think 4 out of the 5 players were players who have literally played in LCS before.
And including Zazel, who was just playing in like the LCS fine a year or two ago.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it feels extremely unfair to have like what is essentially like a low tier LCS to maybe like mid tier academy team just play in this amateur event with a bunch of other amateur players.
Yeah,
Like that feels like very unfair.
Yeah, it was Dokla, Tuesday, Zazel, Apollo, and Winston.
Yeah, like who thought that this was a good idea? Who okayed this and allowed them to be in this tournament?
Yeah, I guess they had to play competitively somewhere, but it was just weird.
Yeah, it was really weird.
So it was no surprise that we lost to them, but we did pick up a game, so that's pretty big.
Up until then, they played really well. I actually really liked how this team played. They looked like they had been playing together for a little while. It looks like everyone was on the same page. Everyone was playing really well. I think that we seemed to be of the teams that were in that event, we were of the higher end, and I really liked watching them play. I think it was really good that they got a chance to play against some high grade talent like that Not Academy team, and I really liked watching them play. It was good that they got second in their first event, kind of under Cloud9, and I'm hoping that we can see them play more in the future, because I think it'll be really valuable for them to get, like, you know, just a lot of events and to play a lot and kind of, you know, grow. So I'm really excited to see how much they can do this year, just in general.
Yeah, and I'm not sure when the next tournament is, but I'm going to try and tune in. I'm trying to not be so busy all the time.
Yeah,
But
yeah, for sure.
I will also say it was super nice to see a return of Mad Magical.
I was gonna mention that. I
Shout out
love
to him.
seeing our boy, our Cloud. He will always be our Cloud9 boy.
He'll always be our Cloud boy. Just that talking Cloud.
Yeah, I miss the Clouds so much. I hate that they like nix that, because they
It
can't
was
do
so
like
ridiculous.
they can't do their own streams anymore. I miss the talking Clouds. I miss Paul, and what was the other one? Was it Kevin?
The other guy, or
No, the other Cloud. There were two
the
Clouds.
Cloud.
One was Paul, and I think maybe the other one was Kevin.
I think you might be right there.
But
Yeah, I miss them from the Academy shows. They
Yeah.
were always fun.
yeah, they were great. I think him and I think it was Rage Cage, whatever his name is.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think it's about right. Him and Rage Cage, they were they were a really great casting duo. I think they were probably the best Academy casters in that era where teams could do their own broadcasts, and they were really fun and entertaining, and they made it just a great production overall. So hopefully we could see them in the future, because I really want to see them again.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, but I guess. Oh, were you gonna say something?
No, you're fine.
Okay. Well, let's talk about this LCS preseason lock-in event, and what we can kind of expect for the new year. I'm really interested to see, mostly just how the teams kind of react to the item changes, because I've been playing a bunch of League recently with a group of friends, and the item changes have really changed the landscape of the game, because you're seeing some characters that were never really in a powerful spot at like all of last year suddenly shoot up to like OP status just because of item interactions and how items work.
Yeah, and I feel like the mythics aren't exactly empowering, but they kind of did chop off some of the power of some of the champions. I feel like the meta champions like didn't really change though.
I think some of them did. I think at least like we'll see spikes where like one champion is good and then they'll do an update to kind of tweak some items, and then no one will play that champion anymore, and then they'll play something else. Like Katarina, I remember for a little while was, and she might still be, but she's incredibly OP because she can build mixed damage, and I think she builds, is it Kraken Slayer first item?
She was, yeah.
And that was like super OP. I think Sion is now considered one of the major OP champions because he can he has like a huge variety in his build pathing, to where he can build like lethality and just kill people with his abilities like insanely easily, or he can go for a more like tanky bruiser build and just be unkillable. Um,
Yeah.
Volibear is also strong. I think I'm not sure about mid lanes. Anivia was strong at one point. She might still be super strong. Like Xerath, I think is really strong because of how the items work. Misfortune and Jhin are like super super strong because of how the lethality items function, and that they can do like lethality item and then the collector is their second item to just get like a huge chunk of execute damage.
Yeah, and for the competitive landscape in 11-1, like I feel like the meta really hasn't changed. A lot of LPL has been handshaking on Zaya and Kaisa again, or
Hmm.
sometimes a Jhin, maybe a Misfortune, but the in the mid lane it's Orianna, Victor, Galio, Azir. So it's, I don't know, it's not really new. It's just a new way to build champions, I guess.
Right.
But I know in preseason, we saw a lot of Lilia jungle or Talia, and then like an 80 in mid like Lucian, and I think that would probably be the biggest change that we would see from a Cloud9 perspective. Perks, obviously a former AEDC, and mid lane or can play Lucian well, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised to see that adaptation.
Yeah.
But I, I, I'm not so sold on the fact that the new items completely shook up the meta all that much. I think it just kind of changed how the item spikes work and how important it is to get that mythic quickly.
Yeah, it's really important to get that first item. I've seen some scenarios where you can build the mythic second, but it hasn't been super common. I think if you're playing like Ezreal, then you build tier and get your mirror mana first, just so you can like stack it quicker. But other than that, it's usually you build the mythic first. I do like how some of the mythics work though, just because of how they interact with champions and then how they build off of other items.
Yeah, and I do like how the mythics have like a passive on them, where like Luden's Tempest or whatever it's called.
Yeah, I think Luden's like
Gives 5% magic penetration for every finished item, while Leandri's
Landry's I think gives
whatever.
haste, I think.
Yeah, it does. It gives 5 ability haste for each
Yeah.
item built. So I've been rushing Void Staff, like
Oh
second or third
yeah.
item, just because it's so cheap and gives 5 more pen or 5
I see.
more
I've usually
ability
had to just
haste.
rush Morello's because there's so much more healing now in this game, to where you pretty much have to just build it second, because so many champions now can exploit the healing from either their passive kits and the mythic items and everything, that you just have to build it so that when it comes to team fights, you're not just letting them get away with healing like over half their health in just a couple of attacks. So that's what I've
Yeah.
been doing, and it's really annoying, and I wish they would change it to where you can't heal as much, because I think that for this update was all about like increasing item diversity and item build paths based on like the game situation. But it really doesn't feel that way when you pretty much feel like, well, second item, I have to go Morello's every single game almost.
Yeah, and tanks only really build um one item. I can't think of what it's called,
Oh,
Aegis or something
yeah,
like
Aegis of
that.
Sunfire, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like mid lane you have a choice to build one of 2 items if you're a control mage. If you're like an assassin or Galileo, like there's a few more options, but like it doesn't really feel like it increased diversity, like really. It just kind of theoretically did based on
Yeah.
numbers, which is more popular during that time. So I don't know. It was time for an item change though. So
No, I agree. I think
not,
they.
I'm not upset.
Yeah, I think that as it goes on, they can probably tweak it to make it a bit more optimal. Do you want to talk about our matches that we're going to be going into this weekend? Because
Yes, the Lock In tournament starts, and it seems like we were the priority team to avoid because we got stuck into a group of FlyQuest, Evil Geniuses, Immortals, and
Dignitas, I think maybe.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Dig. So
Yeah, and it seemed like everyone was trying to avoid us because I think we were picked last to go into a group. So I think everyone was just trading off of who wasn't C9, which is really interesting.
yeah,
I'm not sure how the scrims are going to go, but I'm not sure how scrims went or have been going. But unlike some teams, all of our visas were squared away. So we have, everyone is here. Everyone is ready. It's not like CLG because Broxa, thank you. I forgot his name for some reason. Broxa is not going to be here until like February. So he's just not going to play. I'm not sure if the Immortals also maybe are waiting on some people. I can't remember if I've heard other teams having some visa issues. But at least for our team, we're all going to have our players. I can give let me give a rundown of exactly who we're going to be playing when. So tomorrow, January 15th, we're going to be playing Evil Geniuses at 8 p.m. Eastern. Saturday, we have FlyQuest at 6 p.m. Eastern. Sunday is Immortals at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then Friday, January 22nd, which is the next week, is Dignitas at 6 p.m. Eastern. So I think it's going to be a pretty interesting go. I think our biggest threats are probably going to be Evil Genius and FlyQuest. The FlyQuest match, I think we're all looking forward to, just because we get to see Licorice Palafox and Diamond kind of square off against their old sparring buddies, and that's going to be a really exciting match. Plus, we get to see Jose Diodo and Johnson kind of lock in. But other than that, I think that's about maybe the only two exciting opponents. Dignitas doesn't really have that shiny of a roster.
Well, it'll be we will get to go against Impact in the Svenskeren though, which will be nice.
Oh, that's right. Impact is on EG now.
Yeah,
I completely forgot.
And Deathly's a formal.
Oh, that's right. So we're I love how so many former Cloud9 players are in the LCS now. So really, it's just at any given time, it's like a family reunion of sorts, and you're just
basically
you're basically just having C9 teams play against each other now.
Or Wild Turtle played on.
He was the original AD carry before Sneaky came in. Yeah, that's right.
So CLG has Wild Turtle, Smoothie. Dig doesn't have anyone. Evil Genius has Impact, Sven, FlyQuest, obviously. Golden Guardians doesn't have anyone. Immortals doesn't. Team Liquid has Jensen, and TSM doesn't have anyone either.
Yeah.
So
but it's still a good majority of the. Yeah.
And Cloud9 has 5 Cloud9 guys. So.
Yeah.
So, a little bit of a reunion. Nothing out of the ordinary, but the first matchup is Perks and Jizuke, so that'll be fun. I do kind of wish they structured the tournament to put next Friday's game on Monday because it's MOK
That's
Day.
what I was thinking.
It
seems weird to hold off the entire last leg of the group stage to put it on to next week instead of just doing it on Monday. That feels just really odd.
Yeah, and it's MOK Day, so you can do it at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and everyone will be off.
Oh yeah.
Off work, kind of, I guess. But
yeah.
No school, I don't think. No work, kind of. So I think it would have made a lot of sense, or start on Thursday, but
yeah.
We live in a Riot's world and not an ideal world. So
exactly.
We are living under their rules. But I think it'll be a fun tournament to watch. We might have one of the more settled rosters with Fudge being promoted and Perks coming in, but Sven, Vulcan, and Blabber, solid core. Sven and Vulcan, I think they both went to EU and climbed the ranks there.
Yeah, yeah. I
Perks
really
obviously did
do.
well.
I really do like how Sven and Vulcan constantly in the off season play together. I think it really shows that they prioritize having a good duo synergy, and I constantly applaud them for that.
Yeah, and I know that Vulcan is always competing for ranked 1, and so is Sven. I think Blabber just had rank 1 last week, so once Perks gets here, I imagine that he'll be trying to climb up there too. So
Yeah.
I do like their commitment to always climbing in solo queue.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how the matches work out. Especially seeing a lot of these new kind of roster configurations, like some like Golden Guardians and like Immortals. You know, it'll be interesting to see if they can like be like sort of the underdogs, and then TSM is a team that I want to watch out for just because Doublelift is no longer playing with them. This is going to be Bjergsen's first ever time as coaching. You know, so I think that unleashes a whole new group of challenges that I think he's maybe never encountered before. It'll be really interesting to see how they, you know, kind of do things. But yeah, this weekend should be pretty fun.
Yeah, I guess let's run through our 3 matches for the weekend and just talk about quickly of how we expect it to go. So the first match against Evil Genius is I feel like this is kind of one of those games where we should just win because we're better than them in every lane. But there's a lot of breakout potential in this squad between Sven, Jizuke, and Ignar, that jungle mid support triangle.
Yeah.
For them is highly volatile, but if they come together, like they could beat anybody in North America on their day. But they are a high ceiling, low floor kind of team, and Impact is going to be a good addition to their squad because they're not just coin flipping all three lanes at that point. So
yeah. I'm interested to see how Fudge actually measures up to Impact. I think it'll be a good like first kind of test. I think if they, you know, like Fudge regularly would 1v1 against Licorice and practice a lot against Licorice, so I think that it shows that Fudge definitely has what it takes if C9's just deciding to bring him up. I'm also really curious to see what Blabber's kind of learned in the off season, because, you know, we've shown that he's shown that he can like out jungle Svenskeren before, but I'm curious to see if he's able to like elevate his play and his decision making to where he can do that more efficiently and without you know with like fewer mistakes. But I think that we should be good against Evil Geniuses. Like I said, I think EG and FlyQuest are probably going to be probably the 2 challenging matchups that we'll have for this group stage thingy.
Yeah, and they're our first two games,
Yeah.
So we'll get a good read onto this immediately. And I feel like going against Impact for Fudge is a good measuring stick for what to expect from him this year, because I feel like Impact is kind of like the guardian of top lane, where
He's kind of the litmus test to see if you can do good or not.
Yeah, like if you can hang with him, then you're good, but like if you don't, then you're just bad.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a good test. I wouldn't be too concerned about it the first week of lock-in, but I think it's a good test for him. And then on Saturday, our 6 p.m. game against FlyQuest, we get to go against Licorice again. So we'll get to see that matchup play out in real time.
Yeah, I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited to see Perks play against Palafox. and just see what that's like. Because Palafox is another former C9 Academy player kind of coming up. So I want to see how Palafox does. I want to see how Perks does. Jose Dioto has been talked about a lot as a sort of a super up-and-coming jungler. So I want to see what he's made of and how Blabber deals with him. But that should be a really fun game. I may actually make some popcorn and watch that.
Yeah, that'll be fun. I'm not sure if I'll be able to watch it live, but I will watch it. Also, shout out to FlyQuest's Academy / sublist, which includes Kumo and Tomo. Or last I checked, at least.
Right.
So they probably won't play, but still cool to see them on a team at least.
The next match, which is Saturday,
Sunday.
C9 against Immortals, or no, Sunday. I'm sorry. Sunday. I'm sorry. That doesn't really scream excitement. I think the only player that would be interesting on Immortals side is Xerxes.
Yeah.
So
I'm a big Xerxes fan.
Yeah, if you're a big Xerxes fan, definitely tune into that. I think that this should be a pretty easy game for us. A lot of it looks like we're bringing Immortals is bringing a lot of Academy players to kind of do a budget kind of thing.
Outside of Xerxes, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that it should be a pretty relatively easy time. Well, not so similar for Dignitas. Dignitas does have Dardoch and Afromu, and we play them next Friday.
And once we see the first weekend of games, we'll be able to know more about Dig. But I do think Fake God and Soligo are interesting additions to their roster. But Neo, I literally know nothing about him.
Yeah,
so
same. I also have to.
I don't know how he's going to fare.
I think I also have to mention about players like Afromu and Dardoch. They've been playing for a while, and they've never really hit. Afromu, he hasn't. I think last year he actually did look a lot better than he did previously. But I think Afro is still not, he's not where he was skill ceiling wise, and I think Dardoch is kind of in a similar way, where he just isn't operating at where he was originally or at the ceiling people expect him to be at. So it'll be interesting. I think that Dardoch, if Dignitas is going to win, I think it'll be through Dardoch and Afromu's shot calling, kind of guiding Fake God, Soligo, and Neo through the matches. I think that's how they would win.
Yeah, and it's not a good team by any means, but they have the potential to be a top 5 team, I think.
Yeah, I could see a world where they, I could see a few ways they could make playoffs. I think that's not out of the possibility, but I think they would definitely have to work for it.
Yeah, and I think that Soligo's their weak link in their jungle support mid trio. So
yeah.
But Dardoch and Afromu are both qualified and they've been good before. So if they can pull it together, I think this team could be better than CLG, EG, Golden Guardians, and Immortals. So
yeah,
I guess we'll just have to see. I think they could even be better than 100 Thieves. Could be, not that they will be, but Afromu and Huhi, Afromu's historically a better support. Demonte is good, but a little overrated. And Closer has been good before, but I guess we will just have to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the final 2 matches of the lock-in will be Saturday and Sunday, and we won't really know who we're playing when we next record, but we might have an idea.
Yeah.
So after that, the LCS won't start till early February, but I think that's about it for LCS this week. What are your predictions?
I think we'll most likely. I could see us dropping a game, especially since this is our first quote unquote match, since this is only like an exhibition tournament. I could see us maybe dropping a game, but I think
To who?
I mean we could probably drop a game
All
to
these teams
FlyQuest or
suck.
EG.
I honestly think I've been saying I think FlyQuest is going to be sneaky good, but I honestly think they might be sneaky not good.
Sneaky bad? Ooh.
Yeah, like fifth.
Okay. Well, we'll have to see. I think for sure we win most of our matches. At least on our side of the bracket. We'll have to see, since like we have like literally no impressions on like legitimately like most of the rosters this season because everything got shuffled around. So it's hard to really say. Well, with that all being said, I think we can close out. Thank you for listening, everybody. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at C9Bodied, and we'll see you next time.
Yep, our first taste of LCS this weekend. Let's go, boys.
Woo!
Bye.